Fellow citizens of the Cultiverse, what this evening is about is sharing how each one of us is part of I Got Out. Every cult got out of starts with getting in. My story is in a memoir that I had hoped to bring, but my book, A Slice of Orange, is awaiting publication. So I'll give you a synopsis in poetic oration. Some of you were children, denied alternatives or voice, but I was 20-something and sought the spiritual by choice. I was a classic hippie. I believed in peace and love. I detested top-down hierarchy where power descends from above. Preachers claimed to have the answers, but their sermons left me snoring. If these people were inspired by God, how could they be so boring? Hare Krishnas chanted for an elevated mood, but all I really liked was their vegetarian food. I found Mormons too straight, Hindus too quirky. The truth in religion remained hidden and murky. Surely all the answers were deep inside of me, where I believe each one of us harbors divinity. Meditation and self-knowledge seemed the path to the divine. Then I met some orange people with values just like mine. These colorful people saw the real me, unlike the strangers in my blood family. They described an Indian ashram where love was celebrated, a place where psychotherapy helped fears get liberated. So many smart people, so shiny and bright. I thought all these rebels have got to be right. I went to their Indian master who taught active meditation, combining Eastern wisdom with Western innovation. Handsome and eloquent, he said what I thought, that I should unlearn all I'd been taught. He was ready and willing to open the door if I made the commitment to myself, nothing more. The path to enlightenment asked only one thing of me: complete surrender to this all-loving entity. It was purely symbolic because this egoless man was only there to assist and hold me by the hand. When I looked in his eyes, I felt a longing so strong. I knew if I followed it, I couldn't go wrong. A lump in my heart did not want to do it, but that was resistance and I'd have to push through it. We did therapy naked, which helped me through my fears amid men's dangling balls and boobs without brasiers. I said yes and was surrounded by a bright orange tribe where I knew I belonged and felt fully alive. Living in the moment was so entrancing and right, I let go of everything to follow that light. Then, a few years later, when my old life was in the past, my guru moved to Oregon where I could live with him at last. In our remote commune, I worked all day long, too busy to notice the things that were wrong. No complaints were allowed. It was called negativity. Gone was my freedom along with my objectivity. We were free to leave, or so it was said, but those who did so we were told to call dead. I witnessed some interactions where the weak were disdained. There was cruelty and unkindness, yet still I remained. It was like I had no options. no money, and no choice. It took a catastrophe for me to find my voice. I learnt that we were subject to a grand jury investigation. Outsiders had been poisoned for the survival of my nation. Attempted murder, arson, there was no limit to the wrongs. Our every call was wiretapped while we were singing songs. I felt grief and confusion at the loss of my innocence, wrapped in the madness of cognitive dissonance. Someone was to blame, but I didn't know who. Was there greed and corruption in my beloved guru? The commune collapsed. It was like being bombarded. I was scared to return to the world I'd discarded. Homeless and broke, I had to restart with a fragmented mind and a broken up heart. It's taken some time for me to elicit what really happened and how I was complicit. Almost 40 years later, with friends, love, and grace, it feels like the pieces have fallen in place. Writing my memoir gave me compassion for the young girl who followed her ideals with such passion. We are all so much more than the cults that defined us. Sharing our stories is a way that reminds us that as soon as we listened to what didn't feel right, we began to acknowledge our very own light. And then, as we pulled on the strings of baloney, we began to unravel all that was phony and learnt to develop the inner capacity to detect groupthink bullshit and acknowledge veracity. Now we're the ones who can see the cults that surround us, the fascists and fundamentalism that threaten what grounds us. We're a merry band of rebels, idealistic to the core. Wait, this is eerily reminiscent of something I've done before. But if we're a cult of ex-cultists fighting exploitation, I'm glad we came together for this St. Louis celebration. Sharing my cult story, the highs, lows, and in-betweens, helps my integration of what is with what has been. I have one last reflection on who I've come to be. I may say I have gotten out, but a slice remains in me. Every cult got out of started with getting in, and now that we have gotten out, we're ready to begin. Fellow citizens of the Cultiverse, we have one last line to shout. We all began by getting in and can now yell, I got out!